Okay, here we go.
Is unequivocally yes. Right? Facebook and like Meta still like understand that like Meta and Google, their entire job is to guarantee that your ads work. So AdSense and Meta are incentivized heavily to make ads work. That's why the average return on ad spend on Google AdSense is $2.60 to $1. So if I spend $1 on Google AdSense, I can expect to make $2.60 back. So like ads work, right? Like ads are good. And it doesn't really matter like if the total addressable market is bad or good or whatever. I probably don't have time to do D&D, but yeah, 2 streams a week is all I can commit to right now. Good to see you though, man. Thanks for stopping by. Do they create ads that work, or do you give them ads to run? A little bit of both. We do way more creative now than we used to. So most of the time it's us creating the ads, or like we do a lot of UGC, like user generated content. So we'll do like, I don't know, like 50 to 100 influencers that talk about something on like a video, and then we'll use that to run ads. I think the best ads these days are video ads that run UGC. So. Destiny invited me on the podcast, but I just don't have time to fly to Florida right now. I'll probably go at some point, but... Trying to create a weight loss channel right now. Thank you so much. Yeah, let me know how it's going and if I can help at all. Do you have the best tips on how to structure an email to reach out to content creators to try an indie game? Yeah, I have like email templates and like how I would do that on my Patreon for $5. A bunch of videos on that. Heck yeah, Siggy, thanks, man. What was that question? UGC's overperforming everything right now. How do you determine with certainty that a product is selling because of ads, affiliate links, CTR, direct conversions off of unique links? The answer, the short answer to your question is link tracking. That's the short answer to your question. You're a successful business person and also a absolute goblin in video games. That is the goal, my friend, yes. I enjoyed the Settlers of Calgary League so much. The only reason I stopped playing was because like my league died. I play hardcore trade, and so like there was so few people. Thank you, Labuda. Heck yeah, it's so good to be here, guys. Like I'm really grateful, and this stream is not like super representative of like the streams we'll run, because I think like going forward we'll mostly be doing like news topics and stuff, but we'll still be doing like a lot of talking and stuff like that. Yeah, I think this was my favorite. I think this was my favorite league of all time as far as Path of Exile goes. The job market's trash. It's going to be trash for the next like 10 years until it doesn't exist anymore. I've been doing jiu-jitsu since LA, so I think 2015. As far as what belt I am, it's just like I don't generally talk about the personal stuff. Not good at jiu-jitsu, if that's your ask. You have plans to sell this company? What would you do after that? I would fade it from the public eye and read books and stuff again, probably. I'm just going to be here. I think when Novo sells, I'll probably stop doing content as well. But we'll see. I don't know yet. We have a couple of problems with selling this agency that we didn't have with other businesses. I don't know. The world's going to be so different. I want to say thanks for the videos you put out. It's been really motivating, getting me to start and put on some art and content. Yeah, heck yeah, man. There's going to be a lot more YouTube stuff coming too. Like my personal goal is like doing 3 videos a week there, which is kind of crazy when you consider like we were doing like 1 video a month. are some of the problems with selling an agency? Do you guys really care about this? Like, it's so typically, like, the way that you sell a company is you have a valuation, which means like you're valued at a certain amount, right? So like you're valued at a certain amount, and that amount is based off of like your contracts and like based off of like your product, and it's based off of like the number of users you have. There may be like pain or something, like many such factors. And someone says, I think you're worth this, like worth X, Y, Z money. And you can also do an independent valuation. I think it's called a 409A, where you can do a private company that audits how much you're worth. And then you trade your basically your equity. So you trade your equity for whatever this valuation ends up being. So like if Novo is like a $50 million company, then somebody buys that for $50 million, and typically the owner of the company doesn't get the 50. A lot of people think that. So like for example, we sold CLG for mid 7 figures, but I did not get mid 7 figures, right? Because the amount of primary and secondary capital that gets invested in the business is dependent on the buyer. So like the buyer 409A should never be used as a determination for full market value in the acquisition. Yeah, it's not. It's a way of evaluating for certain regulations. That's why I brought it up. Private audits are not as expensive as you would think. Actually, they're pretty cheap.
Keep left.
But you have to hand over everything to like a reliable firm. So we've been doing that. And our valuation is pretty good. Our valuation is really good because we are what's called an agency of record for a lot of larger brands. And our contracts last 2 years minimum and have a 1-year reoccurring cycle. But we have no product and we don't have any users. So that drives down our valuation. But how do I word this? Our business makes a super unreasonable amount of cash. So the reason that's true is because if I do a deal with a brand and they pay us, the only operating expenses and overhead I really have to cover that payment is I have to have an account executive that runs the account. I have to have like creative people that like cut the UGC and like stuff like that. But all of those expenses are like pretty minimal compared to the margins that we're making. So as a result, the business isn't actually valued at a very high amount, but the cash we're putting off is like super crazy. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to sell the company when we can just pay ourselves in cash, and then we can and just make a ton of cash. Now that has its own problems. Like for example, like at that point, we're getting taxed on ordinary income tax or via W-2 income, and there's some memes we do where like you can be an S corp and pay yourself a salary, and then you can pay yourself a dividend, which is basically like tax free or tax deductible. So you'd have to go to a tax person to figure this out. But like, we are currently just putting off too much cash that it would make sense to evaluate. Yeah, it's deducted, right? To actually sell the company. Like basically selling the company wouldn't make sense with the amount of cash that we're putting off of. Buyers would likely want a key person clause, so you'd have to stay for years. No, that totally depends. I got out from under CLG in under 6 months and just trained a CEO and then left. The way we built Novo from the ground up is we built it in such a way that like there's not a lot of dependence on both of the owners, because the creative work can be done by like executives below us. like the thing that we bring to, like the vulnerability we have right now is that like Novo's creative genius is dependent on myself and my co-founder because we understand the market like better. But once we solve that and we train somebody to do that, like then like we don't have that problem and we can sell. Also, keep in mind that the people that would typically buy us, like that, like those key person clauses are true for like tech companies. So like, if you're the guy that like built an app and Google buys you, but like for us, most of the people that are going to buy us are like larger agencies, and they already have teams in place that like just want either our data, because our data itself is really valuable. I've actually gotten really high surprising offers just for our data. That's all that they want. Yeah, we do have those clients in multi-year contracts, but if you look at like the way you get a big multiplier on businesses to sell is like you have like a shitload of users paying for like an app or something. Do you employ a lot of data analysts? We used to, but now we just use AI for all that shit.
Keep left.
What would you do after you sold Novo? I don't know. It's tough, man. I don't know. So if Novo created like an in-house campaign manager, then its valuation would skyrocket? No, because Loaded tried that. Remember? Does anybody remember PopDog? Like Loaded tried to make like an in-house campaign manager for agencies, and nobody bought it. I don't like, if I wanted to turn Novo into like $100 or $150 million valuation company, I'd probably build a platform where I connect brands and creators together. So something similar to like tribes.co, which I think in of itself is like a super valuable platform, right? I think they raised a ton of money. Because it's basically that. I don't know which Crunchbase thing it's on. But I think they raised like lots of money. Oh, the financials? Yeah, let's see. Well, I didn't know if I was on the right Tribes Co. My email is public, dude. It's fine. People can email me. It's totally okay. Hey, what's up? Good to see you. On finance, is it this platform? Let me find it. I think this is it. I think it's this one. Growth for independent consulting agencies and agency owners, DX Agency Capital, we're a democratic holding company. Oh no, maybe this isn't it. I don't know, maybe somebody can find it. Anyway, the point is like, platform-based stuff like that is gonna make a ton of money. And that's how we would do it if we wanted. But like, I don't want to deal with VCs, influencer marketing platform. Hold on, let me find this. Tribegroup.co, yeah, like these guys. So the idea here is like you can select I'm a creator or I'm a brand, and like you can sign up for this platform, and then you get this like kind of library of activities where you can like hire people for. This is like the example of like if you're going for like $1 billion valuation, like this is how you do it. But you just have to understand that like bigger is not necessarily better in business. A lot of like we're taught to like look at that. I say we as like we the public are taught to like learn that valuations are $100 million value. Like, okay, let me give you, these are complicated subjects. Sorry, this is like really complicated shit. So let me give you two scenarios, okay? Like,
Ghost.
you own a business that's valued at you own a business / you are a member of a business that's valued at $100 million, okay? That's like scenario one. Or two, you own a business that's valued at, let's say, like $10 million, okay? Now, in this business, you are accountable to a board. You're on Series C, so 3 waves of investors have gone through and diluted your equity. Your salary is $400,000 a year. Not bad, but not great, okay? And your current equity stake in this business is like 3%, okay? Option number 2, this is only valued at like $10 million, but you own 100% of the company, no intent to sell, and you are making $2 million a month, or sorry, $2 million a year profit in cash, all for you, and then the 8 mil is operating expenses. So, like, my goal as a business person is to build the second business. It's not to pump my valuation to as high of a rate as possible, because number one, I don't like being accountable to all these goons. I think that, like, there's just so much more you have to worry about and put on your plate when you're accountable to investors, much less if you're accountable to the public. Holy shit, if you like IPO or something. So everybody assumes that these businesses are like the biggest, like the best possible. But I would argue there's like so much more headache, whereas like if I own a small business that's valued at 10 million or 5 million or whatever, but I'm throwing off $2 million a year and I'm keeping all of that, like that's a way superior model to me. And like whether I sell or not, like doesn't like become relevant. Your equity would be closer to 20 to 50% as a founder, and salary closer to 150 to 200. I mean, how much money do you think Nadeshot how much equity do you think Nadeshot has left in 100 Thieves after 6 rounds of investors? And like throwing people into the cap table like Drake and like 6 different VCs from like Sequoia to Andreessen Horowitz and stuff like that. It's because I'm going to tell you it's not 20 to 50%. And yet he's now accountable to everybody on that cap table. So like, do you see what I mean? Like, obviously this is like a super arbitrary example using numbers that are kind of like whatever, but you can follow my logic here. Like, this is why in every business that I've ever run, I've never taken a single dollar of venture capital. And like when I sold my first company, I sold that to a private buyer. When I sold my second company, it's not an edge case. It's not an edge case. How diluted is Travis at Uber? How diluted is Airbnb? How diluted is Jensen? Like, it's every company. It's not an edge case at all. The vast majority of those founders don't own 20 to 50% of their company. You're crazy. Once you've been through like 4 or 5 rounds, like you're diluted to like 3 to 10%, dude. Like, but you're accountable to all those people if you're still a founder there. So it's a nightmare. Yeah, but I don't want to be Jensen. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't want to be accountable to the public. I want to make millions of dollars, but also play Path of Exile. You see, like, this is what I mean by that previous this previous decision that I'm telling you about. I don't know where we put those notes or whatever, but it's like how you do anything is how you do everything. So like, could I be a person who owns like this massive company and like I'm killing it and I'm like making tens of millions of dollars a year? Yeah, but I'm not willing to make the sacrifice to do that, right? Like I want to I want to have a level of success that makes me financially free, but doesn't make, like, I don't want to be getting butt dialed by 6 VCs and like who like have no time but to put on imaginary fires for me to put out. And like and let me tell you, like I experienced that life at Madison Square Garden. Like I know that life. I know the life of working for someone, and being like accountable to like to like just so, oh god, I don't know how much of the nonsense we can get into. So like you can run a business like this,
Turn left.
but you're accountable to a huge amount of investors. You're accountable to a huge amount of people who expect stuff from you every day. You're on like one of the examples of like at the beginning of our acquisition at CLG, I had to have a 7 a.m. phone call with the people in New York every single day. I don't want to do that. Right? Like now, would I make more money and like if I was in an ecosystem like that? Like, yeah, sure. But I don't want to be accountable to anybody. If you're in SaaS and doing well, you have leverage in VC conversations. If you're in gaming and influencers, you don't have much leverage. No, you are definitely a VC because I could tell what your mentality on this is. The reality is you guys run dozens and dozens of M&A contracts, and you know exactly what kind of acceleration and what kind of share preferencing you need to do in order to get most of these founders who are on their first company, who have no idea what to do, in an ideal position for you to basically exploit that as much as possible. This world that you're painting, where people have, like these founders have this like imaginary leverage, is basically completely gapped by the knowledge that VCs bring to the table, where they absolutely dick any of these beginner founders on preferential shares and acceleration and have no idea like what they're doing. So like I fully reject the idea that founders have massive leverage. Basically everybody in the VC ecosystem, with some exceptions. Now there's like some people that are doing some cool things. So like one exception to this that I'm paying attention to right now is A16Z, Andreessen Horowitz's gaming division. They do some really interesting stuff where like their LPs are like flexible enough that like they could throw a couple $100,000 of capital at something like a indie game or something that then that makes them that's like really interesting. And they don't really care about like any kind of ROI, or like maybe they'll pick that back up in like the Series A or something like that. That kind of stuff is like really cool. I like what they're doing. But there are many cases of founders getting pushed out by shark VCs in other ecosystems. And I guess like we can agree to disagree that like this is like some you don't get like, by the way, how many Twitch streams are you gonna get this talk on? I just am saying, like it doesn't exist. Pretty cool. Kind of cool to be back and be talking about this kind of stuff. But yeah, like the like I understand it exists in XQC's chat. Hell yeah. I understand the impulse to want to raise capital for your business. Let me give you another argument. I'll give you guys another argument. I think if you don't know how to run $10,000 a month in operating costs, you don't have business trying to run 1 million or 100,000 or whatever. I think you need to build that as a staircase and take a step up each one of the tiers, because like the other reason I'm not like huge on like founding capital and shit like that is because like if I invest in a founder that like has no experience running that kind of operating cost, and then they just like start blowing money everywhere because they're overhiring or like they're not efficient, like, well then I've just like lost out, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. There's just so many reasons why I want to start from zero and everything. First-time founders get very heavily diluted. One, they don't know how to manage equity, and two, investors don't believe in them enough to give them good terms. Yes, second-time founders are much better than them both. Yeah, which is funny because everybody believes it's the opposite for the VC world. Everybody's like, oh, if you're not a guy in a hoodie, and you go up and like you go to like Silicon Valley, and if you're not a guy in a hoodie that like has a dream, if you're like an old guy, you know, you're not going to get anywhere with VCs. Like, no, bro, it's the opposite. Like, if you're a guy in a hoodie, prepare to get bent over by like hardcore pipe hitting, cocaine wielding VC executives who know exactly how to take you to the cleaners, man. Versus like if you're like an experienced founder and you've been through the M&A thing like 1 or 2 times, you've got so much more leverage in those conversations. One, because you have fuck you money and you don't care, so you're like, yeah, you can invest in me or not. And like number 2, because you just have so much more experience with all the ways they fuck you. Like the funny thing is, I'm pretty confident that I could get good terms on a funding round if I wanted to build something. I just don't want to. Like I couldn't imagine where I'm in that. I'm founder friendly and actually wear a hoodie. I don't do cocaine. Yeah, okay. Found the shark, guys. Found the VC shark. This is the guy that bends you over. Oh, that's the same MO that I've gotten from every VC. I'm the friendly one. All those other VCs are the bad guys. We don't like those guys. We don't operate over here at Bend You Over Capital. Like thank you, John. Good to see you, man. Who do you think will win, Kamala or Trump? No politics. Sorry, bro. How do I sell my paranormal romance novels? What a cool... Is that really what you're doing? Because that's cool as fuck if that's true. Running your own company that deals with ads, what's your thoughts on ad blockers? Ad blockers are fine. If you want to use ad blockers, go ahead. So an ad blocker is fine because the brand isn't charged for you to block that ad in most cases, right? So you want to talk about stuff I really hate? Let's talk about embeds. Okay, like where you embed a Twitch stream onto a website and then ads run on it and no one sees them because it's just a pixel on a screen. That's fucked up, right? That's the kind of stuff I hate. Ad blockers are fine because the ad doesn't get served, right? The impression isn't made, and so the charge it's not charged to my brand. So I'm totally fine with ad blockers. You want to use an ad blocker? You want to watch this stream on your neighbor's Wi-Fi, like stolen laptop, like yeah, go for it. Like totally fine. All good. But fucking view botters and fucking bot farmers, and you guys are literal garbage. So what's happening now? You guys want to hear something that's like really crazy? Remind me on the paranormal romance novels. I super want to unpack that, but it'll take. I want to do this first. You guys know how this works right now? This is super fucked. So currently there are ways to run ads. This would take a lot of explaining, I think, to like explain like the whole thing. But there are ways to run ads that are cheaper than the revenue that you get, particularly on websites like Twitter and Reddit. The cost that it takes to run an ad is cheaper than the amount of money you make on the other end if you run an AdSense account against that ad. So what a ton of people are doing so if you ever wonder why Reddit is like, by the way, Reddit's like a huge percentage bots. And if you're ever wondering why this is the case, it's because you can advertise at such low CPMs on Reddit that you have your own bots go click the links to your advertising automatically, and then Google sends you the money for those link clicks, and you spent less to advertise, less CPM to advertise than you get paid back. And this is a huge problem in the advertising. I would say if there is any problem that we deal with as advertisers, this is it. This is the number one. It's people scamming the system in that way. It's estimated that like $60 billion a year gets lost in this. And there's just people making a fucking shitload of money. This is basically the equivalent of like, have you ever heard of the people that take an Amazon box? They take the exact weight of the, so okay, you order like a, what's an electronic that's expensive? Thanks, Hotshot. Dude, it's good to see you, man. Yeah, I've been gone for quite a while. I gotta catch up on everything. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. A GPU. That's a good example. Good job, Nix. Also, you have a name that's similar to an Eve ship, so I love you. Okay. So, let's say you take like a 4090. Okay. There are these people that take the 4090 out of the Amazon box. They fill it with an equivalent of dirt that is the exact amount of weight that the graphics card had, and then they ship it back to Amazon. And so they know that Amazon doesn't really open the boxes, at least for like a really long time. And if they do, they don't like connect it. There was a guy that did like $25 million in revenue on this, like until he got caught. There was some insane thing. Let's see if we can find it. Guy ships dirt Amazon boxes. Here's one of them I found. Yeah, here you go. Allegedly scammed out of $370,000 by 22-year-old return shipments of dirt. There's like a ton of people doing this. Someone else that did it on like a way bigger scale. And it took like years to find them. So like, this is the advertiser's equivalent of doing this. Is like, when you scam bot clicks, you are basically shipping dirt back to me when I'm running ads for the brand. Like literally. and so like the problem with this is that it actually hurts everybody in the ecosystem. Okay, like fake bot clicks like hurt everybody. It hurts legitimate creators because those creators are not getting that, like those creators are getting suppressed with, like, this is the reason we can't have nice things on Twitter, is because like Twitter is like literally all bots. So if I want to be like an authentic creator on Twitter, I get suppressed by all of the dog shit bot content that's there. And like, man, we have this problem on so many platforms, but nobody can talk about it. Do you think that's air you're breathing? Do you want to know how many viewers on Twitch on average are fake? It's a lot per stream. It's a lot. It's a lot more than people think. If it was public about how many viewers that Twitch had that were not real, like the girl in the airplane, I don't care if you stay on that airplane. That man is not real. It is a great deal of folks on every stream, whether you view bot or not, because of the way that Twitch that Twitch aggregates the numbers, because of the way that embeds work. This is like, and then you think that advertisers are being sold. Like, if you have 3,000, how long are you to stay live for? Like maybe 30 minutes, maybe. I'm already over time. If you are on Twitch and you are like, oh, I'm an advertiser, I'm gonna pay you $5,000 to go say something to your 1,000 viewers. Do you think that's really 1,000 viewers you're paying for? It isn't. On any platform. But many of them are worse than others. Like, Twitter and Reddit at this point are like a complete dumpster fire. They're like, I don't even know what's... So Reddit, our audit, we just did a security audit for Reddit, and like,
Turn right.
The amount of bot clicks on Reddit are so bad that I don't even know if I can read Reddit anymore because I don't know what's real.
This is where it ends.
I think this really comes across when I see polls. The Twitch streamer can yell at everyone to vote and only 200 people out of 2,000 vote. Yeah, that's a good way to tell. Like, anything that requires actual user engagement, like, you'll watch these streamers, they'll have 5,000 viewers, they'll pull up a straw poll and get like 100 votes. Like, that's what's really going on. The number of like real users is very small. Yo, Trent, thank you very much for the Patreon sub, man. I appreciate that. I hope you enjoy the videos. Appreciate that. If you're doing small scale advertisements, we're talking a few $100s. What platform would you go for? Just totally depends on what you're selling. I'm thinking more like product first and service first, and I'm thinking like we build a separate advertising campaign for all of our clients, and like depending on what those people are doing, it's totally dependent. I can't tell you like one platform is better for advertising for everything. Are you able to give a range on how many percentage of viewers on average are fake on Twitch? I can, but I don't think I should. But suffice to say that like straight up, YouTube advertising is the most YouTube. Okay, I was literally going to say YouTube advertising is literally the most efficient advertising that we can do, and then YouTube comes in. Hi, how are you doing, buddy? What's going on? It's good to see you. So like the reason why we the reason why we changed over, like, so in 2019 we were running about 90% of our money